everybody. Welcome to the Garden Party Podcast. I'm going to start doing that loud in the beginning. It's going to wake everybody up. I can't tell if I'm getting sick or not. I've had about a half a bottle of cough medicine. So I'm either going to pass out mid-podcast or I'm going to have a heart attack. One way or the other. Shout out to Dayquil.
We're in for it.
It's going to be a real exciting episode.
We'll keep it going.
I'm Destin Nowak, the Texas Garden Guy, and this is the Garden Party Podcast. We've got a group of gardening content creators, garden plant lovers, and we do this weekly. And I will let Felicia introduce herself. Go ahead, Felicia.
Oh boy, right off the bat. Well, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me. I am from Wichita Falls, Texas. I am a wife, a mother. I am a business owner. I am a content creator. I also am the social media manager for Smith's Garden Town. I know y'all talked about that before. And I'm also a Gothic gardener. As of this year, I have changed my gardening style and technique to become Gothic. So anything dark, anything black, I'm in for it.
Cool.
That's super cool.
You must have liked my Black Codex Adenium. I've never seen those before. Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, she is. If you message Smith's Garden Town, you're probably talking to Felicia. Just know that. So that's usually how I get a hold of Felicia. If I need to get a hold of her, is like, I just go straight to Smith's Garden Town. Well, we got our weekly regular, Mr. Phil's Figs, Big Daddy Fig Daddy. What's going on, dude? How you doing?
It's your favorite fig guy, Phil. You guys all know me from Phil's Figs on YouTube and Instagram. And once again, back here on the Garden Party, my favorite spot.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Well, I saw the video. Your videos are your video quality is getting way better on YouTube, dude. Your last video of you getting your greenhouse ready for winter looks really good. You're stepping your game up.
That's a shout out to you saying get CapCut. I've been using CapCut for all that stuff.
CapCut is king. Pay the $10.
Way to go.
That is the move.
Dude, pay for the pro. It's like $10 a month or whatever, and deduct it at the end of the year. Boom, you're good.
Boom.
Well, go ahead, Miss Bree. I'll let you introduce yourself from Bryan, Texas.
I am Bree Frasier. I own Potheads Plant Shop here in Bryan, Texas. I didn't call myself a content creator until I hopped on this podcast, so thanks for adding that title for me.
That's funny. No, we met at PlantCon. You were actually behind my booth when I was there, and it was really cool. You had a lot of cool stuff that come from your store. You got your store is called Potheads Plant Stop. They don't sell pot; they just sell pots and plants. So, make your orders accordingly. But yeah, pleasure having you on, Bree. I've been meaning to get you on for a while.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to talk about some houseplants. I know we got some houseplant people in the chat tonight. So, Marite, I'm saying, is it Marite or?
You're doing it perfectly, actually.
Awesome. I am so bad with names. It is the worst.
Oh, no, I'm the same.
Go ahead and introduce yourself, Marite.
So my name is Marite Sanchez. I am a content creator, home DIY content creator, and as of last year, a new garden owner because I built my own DIY garden together with my husband. We built a greenhouse. It's been fun. So I can't wait to get my hands dirty again. It's been hectic for the last couple of months. So I cannot wait to get back in the garden again.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't envy anybody who got into gardening this year. This year was probably the worst year to start gardening.
It was rough
because it was so dry and hot.
Yeah.
So like I want to tell everybody who started gardening this spring, don't give up. It gets better. It gets I wouldn't say it gets better. It gets different. Every year is so different. They always say like you learn from year to year, but you hit new challenges.
Every year is different in Texas.
You know what? Yeah. In a way, it's good because it's only going to go up from here. So
that's right. And you know what will work for you last year?
Keep going.
Exactly. Yeah. What would work for you last year is going to work for you maybe 2 years later. You never know.
Yeah, it feels like every year you're dumping and open a new box of puzzle pieces. You just got to figure out how to get it together. Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of puzzles and classes and bananas, what's going on, Mr. Vikram? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm just some guy that Destin picked up off the street for this podcast. I'm a horticulture professor in Lubbock, Texas, and I do a lot of debunking videos on social media. I've just started, since I guess our last episode, a series defining a new plant term, a plant word every day. and
Love it.
it has so far been wildly unpopular, but it's fun. So
Well, dude,
I think it's awesome.
I loved it.
it's fun. I've really enjoyed it.
it's such a cool idea. I say that because I came up with it.
He did. Yep.
But just like this podcast, like, you know, this is the 7th episode of this podcast. It just takes time to build an
Mhm.
audience and everything like that. But it's such a simple thing to do, like this podcast, because, you know, if this podcast was a ton of work, I would have given up already. Like 120 views, like what the, you know. But it's so much fun to just come spend an hour with a bunch of plant people, and it's hardly any editing. I only have to edit out when Phil cusses, you know. uh, you know, so it's so fun. Like it's worth it to me, you know. And just like that plant of the day, it's something you just go through the glossary in the back of the textbooks,
Yep.
and you can film it in your office, and it takes 5 minutes to edit. You know, you can do it. You can book them, do them on the weekends, and do like 10 at a time, and then just have them ready. And it's a fun idea. I really like it.
Yeah, it's been fun. I've actually got it. We may need to come up with a word for me today, because I need to film. I forgot to do one at work today. And I was gonna say, to keep up with Fig Daddy Phil, I've got my Plant Daddy pin that my wife got me
There you
on,
go.
Yeah.
just to compete a little bit. You know, just a
That's
little bit.
awesome. That's awesome. I don't know. Since we got a bunch of indoor people in here, well, we got 2 indoor people, Felicia and Bree. What is like a weird like term that only indoor plant people would know? Like I learned the word caudiform lately. Caudiform. I really like that one.
So I suggested on his Instagram earlier today, vegetation.
That is such a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people
Yeah.
don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Don't ask me. I'm not good with words.
Yeah. Well, real quick, you know, Bree, so you're a woman-owned business. As I always see on Instagram, there's a women-owned businesses. It's awesome. How did you get started, like with your plant shop, and how long y'all been open?
We opened this past March, and I got started with the idea about, I'd say 2.5 years ago, and started just with getting the LLC and start saving money and doing like all the boring back stuff and research and making a business plan. And then I lost my job, and I was like, well, I guess this is the universe telling me it's time to do it. And so I just went head in and figured it out along the way.
Hey, that's great.
And you have a great location over there in Bryan. It's like downtown Bryan, right? Like, what was the store before it was your shop?
So it's a new build. So I'm the first one there. So I got a blank canvas. So that was really fun to just make it my own.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I like how usually the indoor plant shops are always most creative with like their artwork and their painting and all kinds of the creative pots. You know, going to PlantCon last year, that was my first foray into like the indoor plant world. And I found out that indoor plant people are a little bit different than like garden people. It's a different world. It really is. But it was fun. Like I had a great. I compare it to like an anime convention almost. It was very different to me, you know. But I got a bunch of indoor plants while I was there and met a lot of cool people, and it was a good time. I will definitely go back and check it out.
It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Indoor plant people are weird, but we're the coolest.
Yeah. Well, I see you got some corpses in your pots. I know. Tell us about your business, Felicia, because you do indoor plant maintenance for people, right? Like
I do. So I call myself the interscape designer. So I go in and I only decorate with houseplants, people's businesses. So I'll go in and figure out what plant is going to work best with the lighting that they have and the ideas that they're wanting. Sometimes they're a little outrageous, but we work with it. And I plant maintenance them. So I come in as a plant care specialist and maintenance them weekly for them. So
do you do that? Do you do that through Michael's business, like through Smith's
No.
Garden? It's all separate, huh?
I started my business back in 2020, and I was going to a gym, and this lady at the gym was like, you know what, hey, let's just trade out services. You bring plants in here and decorate my space, because it was a newly owned boutique gym, small gym. Flexible, shout out my client. But she's like, well, you love to come do yoga. So I came to do yoga, and while I was there, took care of the plants that she had there. And she's like, you know, there's a really good idea for a business opportunity here. If you really think about it, Felicia, she's like, just think about it. And she's like, you can do it. You totally can do it. You're already doing it here. And it snowballed from her to I have a couple of other clients that I've got, and then my most biggest recent ad, which was the Delta Hotel downtown.
I
So
saw
I'm
that.
super excited for that.
That's great.
That's such a great business idea because you have all these businesses, and plants can really breathe some life into like a blank
Totally,
space, and
totally.
a lot of these people don't have either the time, the money, or the maintenance to like
For the
have
know-how.
have someone there full time to take care of them. So it's really nice,
Hmm.
to have someone come in once or twice a week, water,
And
and a
I
lot of these.
guarantee my services. So like if I kill a plant, I'm gonna replace it.
Oh, I
Hmm.
couldn't do
We
Wow.
that.
all kill plants a lot. I mean, that's how we learn. So some of them I'm like, ooh, okay, we'll try it, and then they ended up working out, and I'm like, how am I doing this? But you know what? I'm doing it.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, guarantees are always scary, but when you know what you're doing, you can kind of maintain it. Especially a lot of indoor plants are so easy to propagate, so you can have some
Hmm.
backups at the house.
Oh yeah.
Have them ready to go and everything.
Oh yeah.
Um, well, I'm gonna go down to Marite because she did some decorating of her own, some presidential decorating. Marita,
Whoa.
you want to tell us like what you do and what your most recent project was?
So my most recent project was decorating the White House for the holidays. I was there last week. I came back last week, but over the last week
Wow.
of November, I was a volunteer decorator at the White House. They do, the White House always decorates for Christmas, and they call out volunteers to sign up around September or starting September. I signed up, and this time it was a little different. I wasn't just a volunteer, I was part of a group of creators that were able to go there. Usually, when you're a volunteer at the White House, you're not allowed to get any phones, film anything, because basically the theme is secret until reveal day. So,
Oh, cool.
as part of this group of creators, content creators, we were able to get our phones in one night, one evening, and film some of the projects that we were working on so that we could share with the public and with our audiences, basically, so people can recreate it at home. You think the White House and you think everything's expensive, everything's, these beautiful, expensive ornaments and everything, but a lot of the things that they have for the decorations are crafts.
Yeah.
So they wanted people to know that this is something that you could do at home, and that's where we, the creators, came in, filmed some of
Wow.
those, pieces of crafts that we were working on, and then we're gonna share them to the world. So
I
it
love
was a
that.
fun opportunity.
No, that's awesome.
Wow.
And you're probably the first. You're the only big like Pinterest person I know. Like I know how big Pinterest is, but how many followers do you have on Pinterest now?
30 something thousand, 32,
Wow.
33,000.
Wow.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. No,
That's
congrats. Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
It's
because
a great platform, and I would say not a lot of people were like, understanding of how it worked on the creator side. You use Pinterest for, saving all of the ideas that you find on the internet, but not a lot of people knew how to use it for their own, creations. So it was fun. It was a learning curve, but I think like a lot of us during COVID, we were trying to do something, create
yeah.
something. And that was me. And that's how Pinterest came into my life. And it was a blessing, basically. So yeah, I've been growing and having fun, having campaigns over there. It's been really, really fun.
No, that's
Wow.
awesome.
That's very cool.
You definitely gave me the idea, because I like I've said this before. I started out on YouTube, then I moved to TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and then I met you, and you were like, "Oh, try out Pinterest," and I was like,
Yeah.
"What's Pinterest?" I thought it was just something my wife like scrolled through, but my wife was telling me, she goes, "No, Destin," she goes, "There's some women who will sit there on Pinterest for hours scrolling." She goes, "So
It's
you should be
Really?
posting your
There's
stuff
Wow.
endless
on Pinterest."
Wow.
inspiration, and it's a great way to drive traffic to your business, to your site, to
Yes,
whatever site that you want people to go to. It's a great way to drive traffic. So yeah,
yes,
check it out.
yeah. So the content creators in the room, make sure you create a Pinterest account tonight. Absolutely. No, for sure. Yeah, I was laughing. I know this is a stupid joke, but I was like, she's up there decorating the White House, and like there's all these extension cords and stuff like that. And I was like, I was thinking, did they make y'all make very sure that there was no tripping hazards in the White House.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
They're serious about, like safety things. Like you would not be able to move a ladder on your own. You have to call the people from, the building to be able to move, because they have these big chandeliers that are not easily replaceable.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
I don't know how old, they're beautiful, expensive probably. So you gotta be careful when you move things, and all the floors are covered. So they're very careful with.
Yeah.
They make sure that we don't mess up anything.
Oh no, I was. There's somebody in that house that's very prone to tripping. So I was curious if they had like make sure like keep those extension cords covered up. And I was like, oh man. But no, that's so awesome. That's so cool. And this is your and this is your second year doing this. So
This is my
that's
second year.
that's awesome. No,
Oh,
I
man.
love that. I love that. Vikram,
Yes.
you can laugh. It's okay, man. Oh my goodness. So it is getting towards the cold time of year, and that's when people start focusing on I think when it gets cold outside, it's when people really start focusing on indoor stuff. And I've got some indoor plants, and I always get indoor plant questions. And the number one is the fungus gnats. Or you can get them for like $30 on Amazon. They just they make them kind of pretty now. Like they're not like super ugly. I mean, the lights are cool. And it just kind of zaps every once in a while. It zaps and my dog freaks out. But but I don't know. Bree, like what would you recommend like for someone who's this time of year when someone's wanting to get a plant? Like what is your most popular plant that you sell at the store, or like a good beginner plant?
I would say snake plants. I'm always pushing snake plants, and definitely during winter because you don't have to water them very much.
Yeah. Yeah, the Sansevierias are really not. My favorite's the whale tail. Is it the whale tail or is the whale fin?
Well,
Whale.
whale fin,
Some
shark
people call it
fin.
welltail. Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 different names for it.
Yeah. No, that one's probably my favorite. What is your most common one, Felicia, that you deal with?
What do you mean, as in insects or as in plants?
No, in the plants, like the most like common like indoor plants that you have, like that you recommend for people.
Dracaena is my favorite, hands down, because it's such a wide family of plants that you can literally get like the marginatas, which are the really long, spiky looking ones, and the Sansevieras. I mean, just they have so many different varieties.
Yeah.
I love it. Those I love. I love pothos. I love ZZ plants.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, oh my gosh, yeah. Pothos, because there's definitely so many different varieties of that as well. So if I can have a different variety of it, a different color, different flavor, give it to me.
Yeah, I've seen where people start like they'll put like the 3M tape on their wall and they start like trailing them up and down the wall and stuff. And I was like, that's a cool idea. I don't know if it could cause damage to the drywall or something like that. But I mean, as long as you're not watering that, it should be fine, I guess.
It depends. It depends on the wall. Sometimes like they want to aerial root, so it depends on how long it's been there. They might want to aerial root into the wall, so you have to think about that if you're renting a place.
Well,
yeah. No, for sure. This was my first year growing dragon fruit with their. I think people sell dragon fruit all the time, and they don't tell people how big it gets.
Yeah,
and how
it's got to get big.
And how it'll just create air roots and climb on the side of your wall. It was like climbing up the side of my fence and onto my neighbor's house. I think this is my last year doing dragon fruit. It's
So at Smith's Garden Town, we actually did a video on dragon fruit that we grew. We trellised it up and it went up into the rafters and it's like spiraling and twisting around up into like the rafters at the very top of the roof. It'll keep going. Keep
yeah.
going.
Well, my idea was if I wanted to keep growing it, I would just, I did propagations last year in the wintertime, and they're super easy to get rooted. And I figured I would just put one out every year, let it get big, and then just let it die, and then just replant a new one every year, and just not have to deal with it because I don't want to have to put it in the greenhouse and get stabbed.
So your
Yeah.
first one, did you start it from seed or you got the plant for your first dragon fruit?
So you can start them from seed. I've seen people do it, but it's just such a quicker,
I did
easier
that.
way to.
Forever.
Right.
You did them from seed, Phil?
I have one that a friend gave me from seed, and it was, I don't know, 3 millimeters tall. So it's doubled in size.
That's what I was gonna say.
But it's like
That's what I
little
was gonna say.
bitty.
I started one and it got
Aw.
like this big, but that was it.
Yeah.
I wanted to make like a little tiny fruit just to be like, there it is. I think I see it. I got to
Dude,
put some bananas on it, I think, right, Vikram?
Yeah. That's
And
the trick.
eggshells.
And add that banana water. Yeah, I've got like 3 or 4 plants, and I did not get one flower, any fruit this year. I was really bummed out. It's about 10 foot tall. I made a big old stand for it in my backyard, and I didn't get any fruit. And I was like, well, if I get some fruit by the end of the year, I'll bring it in the greenhouse.
Did you
Since
try
I didn't
hitting
get
it
any-
with some stuff? Like some
I hit-
phosphorus heavy stuff?
Oh no, I hit it with a baseball bat. I hit it with a golf club. No, I was fertilizing it when I fertilized everything else. I gave it,
Got it.
different fertilizers to try. Same thing with like my angel trumpets. Like I got 3 angel trumpets in my house, and I've had them for 2 years, and they've flowered once. One of them has flowered one time, and I can't get them to bloom. And so if I can't get them to flower, and they don't attract pollinators, then I don't want nothing to do with them really. It's same with like people. But people ask me grass questions. I'm like, dude, I don't care about grass.
Some
Is
people
it?
do, right?
I was like, all the grass is something my HOA makes me cut. The ants live in it, and it doesn't provide food for anybody. Like it doesn't. Michael defended grass when I was talking crap about grass, but I will not defend grass. I want to see a food forest. I don't care. When I see a empty yard with just green grass, it upsets me. I hate it. I was like, man, I could put so many fruit trees, so many garden beds.
Yeah.
I get so envious of space. I hate when people just use that space for all the lawn people are going to kill me for this.
But I get that question a lot
I
with
have
figs on
kids.
like how.
And
Well,
that's
yeah.
it.
My kids
That's
like to
it.
play football, so they're like,
I do. Yeah, you got to
I'm like,
reserve a space for the kids to just tackle each other.
They can go to the park. They can go to the park.
They can
I
garden
would say
with you.
especially unused space. For me, it was that side yard.
Yeah.
I saw that space and I was like, we never used that space. The kids played on the other side of the yard, so it was empty. It was getting full of weeds. So we were like, we needed to do something with that space. It was bothering me so much. So that was when I finally said, you know what, this is going to be my garden. So it's night and day now.
Yeah, no, and the greenhouse y'all built looks really
Yeah.
good too. Did y'all just build? Did you attach it to the side of the house? Like it's attached?
It's not attached. It's freestanding.
Okay.
But it's heavy enough that nothing will happen to it. So
Did you keep it detached from the house because of HOA?
yes, yeah,
That's-
yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So I was actually looking into doing something like that. I was going to do a pergola, and you don't have to get the HOA involved as long as it's like it's not attached to the frame of the house. And so
And if it's for us, for our HOA, it has to be, under a certain area. Like, can't remember what's the area, but ours is definitely under. And
Okay.
then it can be attached, I think. And there are a few, like things that they're picky about. So you have to be careful with that.
yeah, no, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission when it comes to
Oh
that.
yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Well, I say that, but my neighbor across the street, she planted, I forget what it was. I think it was an Esperanza or something, and it was some kind of plant in her front yard. And she got a letter from our HOA, and they had to dig it up.
Oh,
They
Wow.
actually made her dig it up. Like,
seriously?
my HOA is so stupid. So there's
They
a
get so picky about the silliest things. Even like the stain that you use for your fence, or
Oh
like
yeah.
our kids had like those plastic pinwheels in the front that the neighbor gave
Yeah.
them. We had to take them out because the HOA doesn't allow plastic
Oh my
decorations in the yard.
God.
It's
Oh
the
my
plastic
gosh.
pinwheel that my kids. So they
Take away
can get
kid
picky, and
fun.
it's annoying. But I mean I kind of understand, but also it's annoying.
It's my place has a master plant list. They have a list of plants you can plant in the front, a list of plants you can plant in your backyard, which I'm breaking all those rules. And then also you're not allowed to plant more than 7 different species of plant in your front yard.
Oh wow.
What?
And I'm breaking that rule because my front yard looks nice. So that
Sounds like you need
as
to
long as it
move to
looks
Wichita
nice,
Falls.
I'm not moving. I'm never moving to Wichita Falls. Y'all are, I told Michael the same thing when I was in the Air Force. That's where I did my tech school, and I hate that place. I will come to see Smith's Garden Town and hang out with y'all, but then I'm taking my ass back to Houston.
We've gotten
I
a
was like,
little
I
bit
do
better.
not. I don't like Wichita Falls. It's basically Oklahoma. It's basically Oklahoma. Oh my goodness. Sorry.
You
Sorry, all the Wichita Falls people. I'm sure Lubbock's not much better.
No,
no,
Lubbock's way
lateral move
worse.
at best.
Oh
Yeah,
my
Lubbock's way worse.
goodness.
at best. Uh, so
Yep.
one thing I would say about HOAs and landscapes, in Texas, they passed a bill about 10 years ago, the Senate Bill 198, that if you're converting your landscape to more drought tolerant plants, your HOA cannot legally prevent you from doing it.
Oh, really? So if you
They
go
get,
natives, you go all
it
natives?
doesn't
Yeah.
have to just be natives, but drought resistant landscaping, water conserving, native turf grasses, and things like that. It's I think 2013, and so it can't enforce rules. Now I think they can provide like guidance on the overall design a little bit, so you can't but if you're saying, hey, no, I'm converting my existing tall fescue or St. Augustine lawn to something that's more drought tolerant and putting in all these plants, like they legally cannot stop you from doing that.
Oh, wow.
Oh wow. That's good to know.
That's awesome. I hope to be out of this HOA in 5 years. Every year I say that, 5 years. It's been like 6. And so like it'll just continue being 5 years. So hopefully I don't have to deal with this much longer. But I also, people always tell me, you need more land, you need more property. But I also like to show that people can grow and do things in small areas as well. So I feel like if you're efficient and you use your space functionally, you don't have to have a big space. I would like one, but hopefully that next space is like my house plus like a nursery and like all this stuff. That's the end goal. At the end of the day. So,
Go boy,
Phil,
go.
Phil,
What's
we
up?
haven't talked. We barely spoke to Phil, and I feel bad. And so, I
I
want
jut
you
in
to
every
tell.
once in a while.
So, dude, did you sell all your fig cuttings last week?
I sold a large amount. A lot of the rare ones got bought up. I still have a lot available, which is great. But
Okay.
it was a great showing. I was really impressed. I think I set my goals low, but at the same time, like I have this cascade plan of these are available for whoever wants to come on the website, my exclusive followers, right? And then FigBit is another great resource. So I'm going to cascade into that as an opportunity. And then after
Okay.
that, the rest comes back to me and my reserved inventory for growing my own trees for the spring. And so here comes
Okay.
my long haul meditative process of going out in the dark in the morning and rooting cuttings by myself before the kids wake up. And so that's
Dude,
going to be my big plan going for the next few months.
I love propagating, dude. I love
It's
propagating
awesome.
so much.
Yes.
It's so much fun.
It's almost as fun as eating the fruit. And it's very for me, I'm a nerd, but I'll put on Mozart and I will go out there or some sort of classical music and I'll just go at it and win arguments in my head that I make up, and
Oh my God.
or just be at peace and just root these cuttings and talk to them maybe.
Yeah.
And just spreading the love in there. But I'm really excited. I got some newer, bigger pots that when I propagate them, I want to just keep them in the pots. They're 4x9s instead of the 3x8s I was using before, where I would
Okay.
transplant into 1 gallons. I think I was just causing too much shock for transplant shock. And
Yeah.
some of the more finicky varieties were not having that. And so I want to get my my life versus death ratio up a little bit, so not transplanting as much.
Yeah, last year I did 4.5 inch deep pots, so they were like the size of like, half the size of a big Sonic cup.
Mhm.
But like I did them starting out in that just so I didn't have to transplant them
Right.
at the end. But it took up so much space, and I'm using those Charles.
I'm so sorry, guys.
It's okay.
Maybe I'll
I'm
try it.
Oh, you're good. You're good. I'm using these starting trays now. There's 28 cells.
Uh-huh.
I'll send you pictures, but they're really nice for bigger cuttings.
Good. It's
And
good to know, because I was kind of using something similar I got from Stew and Sons.
yeah,
And then I just went a little bit bigger just because I didn't like losing, my ratio was off. And I knew
yeah,
I knew they were rooting and taking, and the last thing I need is for something to take that I've been waiting months for, and to kill it by just moving into a new pot. But
yeah. No, propagation is fun. I always get worried when I do a ton of propagation videos because I hear from people like Bree that proplifting is a real thing. For those that you don't know what proplifting is, Bree, I'll let you explain what proplifting is.
It's where you're basically, some people keep scissors in their purses, but you're looking for part of the plant that you can take home to prop at home, or you're breaking it there in the store and pocketing it or putting it in your bag.
That is so
I
crazy.
think the one I see the most of is people are trying with like the string of pearls, and I'm like, hey, stop touching that or you're gonna buy it, because they like start pulling on it. I'm like, that thing is so delicate. Like, I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
yeah.
Is it getting more and more common? Like in the store, you see it like pretty often?
Not with me, since I posted the video of the shoplifters.
Oh,
And then sign up for a loyalty card. Like, that takes some
No
stones.
joke.
I'm impressed.
They're
that
the
is,
smartest criminals.
So I've had this actually kind of happen with me, and what frustrated me about it is that I would notice, like, I come every single week and I look up and down the plant. I mean, I'm very thorough because we don't want any insects, right? Especially with a lot of places that I have these plants in. I've got them in restaurants, things like that. You don't want none of that going around.
Right.
So I'm looking through all the plant, and like you'd see like a little, well, somebody took a cutting there. Well, that's frustrating. That's frustrating to me because it's like, me as the grower of that plant, it's now looks weird. And then two, you're stealing from the company where you just went and ate at, or you went to. It's so frustrating. People don't
I,
understand. They're like, oh, I just took a cutting. And I'm like, but you've
yeah.
ruined the quality of the plant by doing that. I mean,
Yeah.
could you have asked, or, like, get permission first, or let me cut it for you?
I'm guilty. I'm guilty. I've done it once or twice, but not like that. Not like that.
He
Shame,
confessed. He
shame.
confessed.
Hey, I've done it. No, I was at this.
This is recorded, huh?
Oh, I
Yeah,
know.
right,
Well,
right. Everybody hears
He's
this.
opening
Everybody
himself
hears
up. He's
it.
like, guys, I'm a
Oh.
culprit.
By the way, Destin incriminates himself every episode that I've been on. Every
Yeah.
episode
Oh
I've
my
been
God.
on.
Yeah. No, I'm the worst. I'm the worst liar in the world. No,
Oh.
so I was at an event downtown Houston, which I never go downtown. And I had a couple drinks, and I was at this pizza place / bar, and I look over, and it wasn't like summer yet. It was like kind of cold outside still. And I look over, and there's this plumeria, like a decent sized plumeria growing out of the ground. And like the landscaping was disheveled. So like I know they weren't like this didn't just get put in the ground.
So
This
you were rescuing it.
well, yeah. So I yeah, basically yes. And so
Get it to the
I
plant ICU. Yeah.
I was like, this plumeria survived like the freeze. I was like, that's surprising. I was like, I really want a cutting of this, if it was like kind of, because plumeria are not cold hardy whatsoever. And so
Mhm.
like I was like, well, let me get a cutting of this. So I took it, I walked by it, got my pocket knife, and I just hacked a piece off about that long. And the next day, I posted the picture on my stories, and I said, "Hey, Axelrad, I took a cutting, and I feel bad about it. I'm gonna call this. I'm gonna call this plumeria the Axelrad to make up for it. I'll come back and I'll fertilize all your plants for you." And they never
They
responded.
respond. They did.
No, they didn't.
They
Oh,
didn't
No,
care.
they didn't. So no,
but
so they clearly didn't care. So I saved that plumeria, and it's doing awesome. It's doing amazing.
that happens like in the fig world. Like there's a lot of figs in
Oh yeah.
Wilmington, but the goal is like, here's what I do, because I'm just like a casually goofy person. But I like every time I'll be like, oh, is someone out that day? No one's out. Okay, I know where like 10 fig trees are that I haven't touched, but I'm just waiting for someone to be outside
At
one day
people's
and be like,
houses?
yeah, like their yards. I'll be like, hey, what kind of fig
Oh,
is that? They're like, I don't know. It's something my grandma gave me from whenever. And I was like, can I see it? And then like, because I know what it is already. And eventually they'll give me cuttings, and then I have to wait till I confirm them. They're just unknowns. But
dude, you're
yeah, I
the
think
East Coast fig hunter.
maybe
The East Coast
not
version,
to
dude.
his not to the degree of him, but of Dave. But I do
Yeah,
have like a
that's
little
awesome though.
food map in my head of where I know these fig trees exist, but I'm just waiting for casual times where I can go and ask if I can take some cuttings.
That's awesome. If y'all don't know about the fig hunter, his name's Dave Burke, and
Mhm.
he apparently figs grow wild in California, and he has traveled up and down the state and has discovered over 2,000 different varieties of figs growing wild, and
Oh wow.
he's got them mapped out in his phone. Like
Yeah.
they grow out of the side of overpasses over there. He sees them growing, goes and tastes the fig, and takes cuttings, and he's got over 2,000 different varieties growing. So it's pretty wild.
I have
And
I have 8 or 9 of his varieties here
yeah,
that I'm testing out to see if they're common.
yeah, he sends me taste boxes sometimes, and really good figs. He's got one called the Jolly Rancher, and it literally tastes like a Jolly Rancher. It's the best fig
Oh wow.
I've ever eaten in my
Holy
life.
cow!
So they
Yeah.
grow in the wild over there. Meanwhile, here I have to like talk to my figs and sing to them
Oh
and
my
take care of them
god.
for them to grow.
Yeah. So the way it worked is like when California was like getting established, Spanish monks brought figs over, and other people
Oh.
brought them over and tried to establish them. The problem is the ones they brought from like Turkey needed the pollinator wasp, and
Hmm.
so
Ah.
they had to bring the wasps over, and now they have the wasp or something that actually pollinates them.
Yeah, because
Because if you
they get caprified with the male caprifigs, and that
yes,
pollen gets
yes.
spread.
So all the figs that we have, you get from like Home Depot or your local nurseries, they're all common figs. They don't need wasps to pollinate or anything like that. But the ones like in California, a lot of times are pollinated by wasps, even though you'll never see a wasp whenever you eat them or anything like that.
Mhm.
If you do, it's not ripe and you shouldn't have eaten that fig.
So
So
confession, when I first started gardening and everything, like I would stay clear of the whole figs because
yeah.
I heard of the whole wasp and the fig, and I was like,
Oh
are
yeah.
you kidding me? I am not seeing a wasp. I am not coming near one of
Yep.
those.
Oh my God. Yes.
I'm terrified of wasps. It's one of my
Oh, then it's like, and even seeing the wasp itself, it's tiny. It's so
It's
tiny
yes,
you
so
couldn't
little.
notice the.
and
And
little
they're
legs that just
exclusive. Yeah, they're
ugh.
exclusive to the fig plant itself, which is it's kind of an amazing symbiotic
That's
relationship.
cool.
Yes, yes. No, I recommend reading this book. I'll send you a copy of this, dude. It is called. I'll send it to you later, but it's a book about figs and how they are responsible for the world going round. They're really awesome. Figs are called a keystone species, a keystone
Oh wow.
species in a lot of rainforests. And
Mhm.
when logging and our agriculture happens, they will either wipe out the environment for the fig wasp, and the fig tree doesn't get pollinated, and then that fig goes extinct, and there's a chain reaction for all the other species. It's pretty crazy in a lot of places, and that fig is more referring to the ficus genus in general, not necessarily like the figs we're eating. I think like
Mhm.
not, I think like 90% of the species of ficus aren't even edible to humans. I think most of them aren't. So, but yeah, I'll
That's
send
definitely
you.
David Attenborough in Planet Earth talks about that in the jungle section, and how there's like multiple tiers of species of monkeys and primates that live in one fig tree. And then of course you have like the famous Bodhi tree, right?
Yep.
Where he found enlightenment. It's a ficus tree too. So.
Absolutely.
There was so when I was doing research for my book, one of the sections is on living bridges made of fig trees.
Oh, like the
Yes.
banyan.
And so yeah. And a couple of different species from what I saw, but yeah, that specifically. So in parts of India, they would grow fig branches and roots across rivers, and actually braid them together, and they would grow together across the rivers. And there's 200-300-year-old trees in parts of like the jungles in India where they have living bridges across rivers just with these braided fig branches and fig roots and
That's cool.
all kinds of stuff. It's
I would
cool
love
as
to do
thing.
that to like my sunroom and just have like that'd be amazing
Yeah.
to grow, right?
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah,
yeah.
whenever Alexander and his army went to India to try to invade the Indian subcontinent, they reached the forest with all those trees, and they're like, "Oh, there's so many trees, it's almost impenetrable." And one of those, like that whole forest, was one tree. It's like one tree can spread out. They call them strangler figs. It's like Ficus religiosa. And they create aerial roots, or like a bird will go and like eat a fruit, drop the seed in the crevice, and then it'll root down, strangle the tree, the host tree, and then all you see is a skeleton afterwards. It's pretty awesome.
That's
wow.
cool.
Yeah, it's really
I've heard of
neat.
something similar to that, but aren't the Ficus benjaminas similar to the
They're
strangler tree?
all-
Like they will eventually do that too?
There's a bunch of different strangler figs. There's a couple different ones. Yeah, I think it's the one in India is either Benjamina or religiosa, and there's a bunch of them. There's thousands of species. It's pretty cool. But the book, it's got called Gods, Wasps, and Figs, I think. So
I'm getting
I'll
it.
send you a link.
Interesting.
Very good read. Yep. So
I have a question
yes,
on indoor
please.
plants,
Yes.
on filtering the air and which plants are good for that. Because that's kind of why I bought the snake plant for my house, is as an air filter as well. And if that's true, and if there are other plants that do the same thing for the house.
Who do we want to answer?
Who's this question for?
I always say snake
Anybody.
plants.
For the party.
That's the main one I know off the top of my head.
I think the Sansevieria. Felicia, go ahead.
I've heard like I want to kind of know the science on this because I know you probably know more than that, but I heard that a lot of this stuff was like fictional, that it's not necessarily 100% real. Or what do you think, Vikram? What is it? What's the science behind this?
So there's been like an article that went around, it's probably for years now, saying these are the 10 plants that NASA has like, and if you Google like air cleaning plants, like this article will pop up, or like some version of it, saying like, here are the 10 species that NASA says will clean.
That's the article I read.
Apparently NASA never said that, from what I understand. And they've done some research after the fact, like looking at some of these species, and there, from what I've seen, and again, there's probably a lot out there that I haven't, like one species isn't necessarily better than another. Like there are tangible health benefits to having plants in your home.
Right.
Actually that go way beyond like just cleaning the air or whatever, but they do trap particulates, they do scrub things out of the air and those kinds of things. So I think having any plants like around you in your home is better than none, right?
Absolutely.
But as far as like which ones are the best, I don't really know. I think ones that will do well in your house, which makes snake plant a great option, actually.
Right.
So
I tell you, my favorite plant for the house is a lithope, because you only water it about twice a year. I've actually only kept my lithope alive because I haven't watered it. I got it 6 months ago.
That's amazing.
It's shriveled up to the size of like the button on my jeans, and I might every time I water it. I've had quite a few of these, and every time I water it, it starts to rot. So I just leave it alone.
Leave it alone.
Just don't do anything with it at all.
Okay.
But this is the perfect plant. You can't even see the plant in here, but it's right there. It's a
I
little.
would say it looks like rocks to me.
It's a little butt crack plant right there.
Yeah,
right
from
there.
here.
That's
Looks like
actually
rocks.
how they disguise themselves in
Yeah.
Right.
nature.
Well,
I have a friend that just released an ebook. His name's Adam. I never pronounce his last name. Contrano. He's got he's Dirty Roots Berlin all over social media, and he just released a book called Leave It the F Alone, and which is his entire philosophy on growing plants is just leave it alone.
Not safe for work.
Yeah.
He is. I like
There are a
his
lot of
channel.
people who
I
love
like
to
that.
overwater. Love to water.
Yeah.
He's funny.
Yes. No, for
My
sure.
early days of succulents, I definitely killed a few where I was like, it needs water. And then it said, no, I don't, as it died. And I've learned the hard way, but now I got my succulents going, and I actually have this little, I call it the plant ICU out in my greenhouse. My friends are like, it's dying. I'm like, just put it here. And essentially I just ignore it. And then it gets better.
One I would recommend for you is a pothos, because a pothos is going to kind of wilt a little bit when it needs water.
Yeah.
Look at it, put it somewhere where you're going to see it every single day. And then once you start to see it wilt, then you know you need to water a few days before it starts to wilt. So you'll eventually get that method going, that schedule for it. But
Love
you got to
I'm
listen
gonna
to your
definitely
plants,
get
got to
some.
watch plants.
Same thing with the peace lily, right? You let the peace lily like totally wilt before you water it. Because I killed several peace
don't
lilies.
do that.
I've killed so many peace lilies.
Don't let your peace lily completely wilt out, because you can kill it that way too. So I would if you've let it wilt all the way down, then you need to make sure that you're hitting it a few days before that total wilt process. So put it somewhere where you're going to see it. A lot of people that have problems with watering, I also recommend the nerve plant for, because it is a very, very, very thirsty plant. So it's going to teach you like that when to water, but it also dies fairly easily too when people.
I was gonna say I had one of those and I killed it, so I was like, that was not the plan for me.
It teaches you to pay attention to it and to understand the way it lives and breathes and kind of things like that. So
And it's beautiful.
it's very beautiful.
I have quite, I have maybe like 15 indoor plants, and they were all
Nice.
doing fine. But that one, oh my gosh, that one, it
It's
gave me a run
needy.
for my money.
It's a nice reminder.
Drama queen.
Yes,
Yeah, it's a nice reminder to all the listeners that, like, yes, we have killed plenty of plants in our.
Oh yeah,
Dude,
that's how I learned is killing plants,
like
man.
our 10,000 hours,
Yeah.
right?
Dude,
Yeah,
I have killed more plants than I currently own. Like it's
Oh yeah.
yeah,
If you
it's
haven't killed about 1 million plants, move on. Let's
Yeah.
I can't relate to you.
I've got one of those nerve plants in my kitchen that I almost kill about twice a month. Like,
yeah.
I have like a light fixture above my island that's like a pot rack, but it has a grate on top of it. So I have it up on top of it, and it kind of grows down a little bit.
Nice.
But it's just above my sight line, which means that I look at it every now and then. I'm like, oh, you look bad. And then I water it, and it comes back. I haven't killed it yet, but it's coming. Like, it's doomed. It just doesn't know it.
You want to kill a plant, get one of them.
It might know it, actually.
Yeah, it might know it.
That's funny. Well, back on the ficus train. I mean, I would say like fiddly figs are probably one of the easiest maintainable indoor plants. I mean, you can
Unless you move them.
Yeah.
Well,
That's true.
they're kind of drama queens for me.
I was gonna say,
feel
they're
like
my
a lot
most dramatic ones.
A lot of people have trouble keeping them alive. I don't know how I've been able, mine is thriving, it's beautiful. And for me, it's the easiest thing to keep alive. But I know a lot of people have trouble keeping theirs alive. So,
Do you have it in a lot of light?
Yeah, I was
It
gonna
receive
say,
a lot of
actually.
light.
Yeah.
Cool. Because they will drop their leaves if they don't have enough exposure.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, I don't need these. And then they look like a little,
That's what I was
two
kind of
leaves.
curious of.
In a little.
Yeah.
Is like the ficus, the houseplant ficus, kind of similar to the figs, like the fiddly figs, similar to what you grow.
Yep, it's the same genus. It's the same genus.
You could very well get one of those for your home if you already know how to take care of them.
I've got one outside and one inside. Boom.
Oh,
It's impressive.
Wait, do you keep it outside until when? All year long?
No, it's not frost
Oh,
tolerant.
okay.
It's
I
not,
was gonna say.
they're kind of like my desert roses and my plumerias.
Okay.
Anything below like 50, 45 plumerias,
Yeah, 'cause
desert roses.
they don't like the cold.
Ficuses. I usually keep it under a shade cloth, so it does pretty well. It does very
I
well.
say
It's
in Texas, how is that doing
well,
with the heat?
and it's in my propagation area, so I'm already watering all that
Ah,
stuff almost every day, and I'm watering it every day, and it's doing great. So,
good job, bro.
um, yeah, like me some fiddle leaves. I was like, I can't be a fig guy and not have a fiddle leaf fig. I just
Right?
Although I'm partial
Yeah.
to like things that like I love growing plants that also give back in the form of food, and so I'm all
Yeah.
like that's why I'm so partial, and I love figs too. But
yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, I always tell people, even if you don't like figs, grow a fig tree, and then the birds might leave your tomatoes alone. That's a good option. What are those? Are they called amaryllis? I know like poinsettias are really popular this time of year, but I saw, was it at Smith's? They were selling those little amaryllis kits
Um,
where you put the
hmm
bulb, like it's like a single bulb, like
So we
pot,
have
right?
some that were like they're covered in wax, and you literally don't have to do anything to it but give it a lot of bright light, and it will bloom out. So
Oh,
they're
big
easy,
really?
flower on it.
super easy,
Ooh.
big flower, like a tubular
Wow.
flower, more like a lily, maybe.
Hmm.
I guess you would kind of describe it. But yeah, they're
They're really pretty.
beautiful, and you can actually grow those. I believe in Texas. I think they survive in ground here too. So I tried, but I got it like the next year, and I don't know, something happened. I couldn't keep it alive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they repeat for us pretty well up here. Even as cold as it gets, they do pretty well.
Yeah, and now's the time to plant your bulbs and stuff, like your crocus and your. So was it? Is it too late for tulips? I wonder. You can still plant your tulips and stuff, and I don't
I
know.
don't
I'm
think
I'm
it's
not.
gotten very cold here for that to happen yet. So you
Yeah,
might still have
Yeah,
some
you've got
time.
time.
yeah. I bought a bunch of bulbs on clearance at Lowe's.
Oh, same.
I don't shop at Lowe's that often, but when I do, the first
yeah.
place I go to the clearance section, I go to the clearance aisle. I like to support local businesses and
That's
buy
true.
my plants local. But if I'm there getting like a new flapper for my toilet, and
No
I go to
shame.
and I go
And
to
you,
the clearance section, I'm gonna get whatever I can get. But
Yeah.
they've kind of changed up their clearance stuff too, because they've caught on to people only buying stuff on clearance now. They jack they just
Oh,
they just jack up the prices and cut it in half, and it's still expensive. Like it's
Mm.
like for little 3-inch pots, it's still like $4. I'm like, this is not a deal.
I'm
Like,
surprised they're not rolling it out to the trash can, preventing anybody from buying it.
my dad used to dumpster dive at Lowe's, and then they started. he, he would go in there, and he would always have me like flats. Like anytime I go to Lowe's or Home Depot and I buy like a plant start or whatever, I don't just take the plant pots with me. I take the trays, and I got another couple trays stacked up underneath, because people don't realize. I mean, have businesses that buy plant pots. Pots
yeah.
are expensive. That
Pots can be
stuff adds
expensive for
up.
sure.
Like depending on the size and material. I mean, Jorge gives me like his little 3-inch square ones, but they're super thin, and it's almost hard to reuse them at all. But
Hmm.
like the
Mm-hmm.
ones y'all are buying, like for your indoor plant shop, they can be expensive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that stuff adds up.
I
Especially the last few years. If you can get it, the prices have been high. Like some of the suppliers have really fallen behind on plastics and things, and so like it's gotten a little better. But we had so much trouble getting like any pots, and then now
Mm-hmm.
I agree the quality's gotten a little bit
Yeah,
over the past couple of years.
don't buy pants. Don't buy pants. Don't buy plant pots on Amazon.
pants
Don't
in the
buy them on
summer. Yeah.
Amazon. Go
Yeah,
to You can go to places like Greenhouse Megastore, and they have way better prices if you buy in bulk. That's where I buy all my
Greenhouse
plant
Megastore is
pots.
good.
Yes, yes, they got a lot of good stuff. Yeah, no, I every time you see a fire, like at a factory, there was a fire at a plant pot factory in Florida, and I was like, dang! I was like, the prices of everything is going to go up.
Yeah.
I saw it on the news. I was like, no.
Yeah.
Well, that's like a big thing that I do is I reach out to landscape companies, and they're like, oh, we
Yep.
just have a pile of
Oh
unused
yeah.
pots. And I filled up my Subaru Outback because I don't have a truck yet. But and
I thought you had a
it was
Nissan Leaf.
I have both. The
Oh my
Nissan Leaf's
god.
my like golf cart, if you will, and and then I have my Subaru Outback for like when we actually have to go somewhere and with everybody. But it gives me that much more trunk space. But it's
There you
So
go.
on
Nissan Leaf's
that On that nursery pots and stuff like that, if you're looking for those. So what we do at Smith's Garden Town is that we actually have a recycling bin. So people
Uh-huh.
will bring their extra pots, but sometimes you find some gold in there and people will put an actual pot in there and you're like,
Yeah.
why do folks get rid of this? Why?
Yeah.
That or we do sell them too to customers as well who are just needing that certain size. Yeah. But it's easy to find some places that resell and
So
recycle.
at Jorge's nursery, since he does like his nursery and does landscaping, a lot of the times he brings back stuff that he's gonna demo later on, and he came back with like this truckload of like not a truck, half a truckload of terracotta pots. And,
Nice.
and I was like, dude, what are you doing with these? And he's like, I was just gonna give them to somebody or whatever. And I was like, dude, I was like, can I have a couple? I was like, can I have a couple
I'm
of
somebody.
these? Can I have a couple of these? And he was like, yeah, take as much as you want. And so I didn't take them all at once, but every time I go back, I was like, hey, can I get a couple? Well, he's got a lot of the short. They're like 8-inch, but they're the short terracotta, so they're perfect for like the desert roses and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I have accumulated a lot of desert roses this year. Every year,
Terracotta's my jam.
it's so much better than I love terracotta
I
more
love the
than
look of it, the style and everything. It's just beautiful.
well, especially outside because like the plastic ones, unless they're like super UV resistant, just don't last long enough. You know, just don't. No,
Texas
for
sun
sure.
tears it apart. That's for sure. Those plastic ones.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. No, I can agree. And there's a lot of things that I've turned into pots that weren't pots as well. And I do that coffee. I don't know why indoor plant places don't do this more. You could just go to like the Salvation Army, and they usually sell the coffee mugs for like $1 a piece, and then just drill your little holes and put your jade or whatever in there. I made that little smiley face one and I posted it as a video, and I loved it so much. I was moving stuff in the garage for the winter, and I dropped it on the ground. And I was so bummed out, dude. I was so bummed out. And I was like, it's so every time I go to like a Ross or anything, which is not often, but I was looking around. I was like, do they have another smiley face mug? They got another. I'm always looking for stupid mugs to like turn into plant
You have
pots.
to make them. I mean, we actually I just was nominated president of the Hobby Greenhouse Club here in Wilmington, and
Nice.
and we always have a competition of like the oddest pots, and like people put like toasters and other sort of like broken appliances. They're like, you don't have to throw it out. You can put succulents in it, or
Plants in it.
put a tomato plant in it, or a pair of pants. I have seen a pair of pants too.
My wife will not let me do it. I wanted to do it.
What?
She will not let me do the blue jean pant.
Just
I wanted to do
let me
it.
just try one, just one.
This is this ask for forgiveness thing we've been talking about, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean, at my rate, it'll probably like pull my fence over. It's already like on its last leg. So,
Dude, how heavy would those be? It would actually be pretty heavy, wouldn't it? You
Like
gotta
40
like fill them with soil and
40 to 50 pounds, probably. I might just do it next year.
You could like make like a scarecrow, and every hole is like a plant comes out, and you have this like scarecrow
There you
plant
go.
person.
We're talking about holes, Phil. Jeez, man. No, Bree, you have a bunch of cool looking pots at your store. I always like the naked ones. The naked ones are my favorite.
Everybody loves the body part ones.
oh yeah.
Yeah. And that's like somebody, like one person makes those, right? Or they probably have some knockoffs by now, but like there was like, it was during the pandemic that person started making them, right? That's what's his name from not What My Plants was telling me.
Colin? I don't know, because I buy from like 2 different people. Like one makes it in terracotta, so I really like hers, and then one makes hers in like cement.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I really like, if I find a weird pot, I'm very likely to buy it, but I try to stay off Amazon. It gets bad. Amazon supports small businesses. Find pots locally, I always say. Well, guys, I've had y'all for close to an hour. I don't want to hold y'all up any longer. Before we sign off, we'll go back around. We'll go counterclockwise this time with Vikram. Let us know where they can find you. If you got anything coming up, tell us about your book and everything like that.
Yeah, so I'm the plant prof, all the places, wherever you want to look for me, you can probably find me that way. I've got a couple of podcasts. One's called Planthropology, which has been on hiatus since I don't remember a minute, but it's coming back in January, and then the In the Grow podcast as well. And then my book is called Plants to the Rescue. It's for 8 to 12-year-olds. It's nonfiction about how plants are going to save the world. And yeah, that's it.
That's
That's all.
Love that.
That's all I got.
That's
cool.
such a specific age group, 8 to 12. That's such a like very specific. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, you know what's interesting, and this is an aside, but they're like, when you write a kid's book, the publishers are like, here are the reading level benchmarks. And like, there's lists of like words you should use and like levels of terminology you should use and all of that. Like, there's actually a lot that goes into that.
That makes
Interesting.
sense. That definitely makes sense. Good to know. Learn this. I always learn something new every time I come on with you, Vikram. And what is the word of the day going to be? Do we ever decide on the
either? I think I'm going to do guttation tomorrow because I have a plant that's doing it in the greenhouse. I think I'm going to go with Figma nasty, which is such a fun word.
Can you dress like a rapper when you do like that? Sounds like a rapper name.
Figma nasty. I may put on my potted cactus costume. We'll see.
Yes. If you turned every one of those into like a rap, I think they would go viral. Wearing the cactus suit.
Totally.
Wearing the cactus. Yeah, I'll work on that.
Oh my goodness. Well, appreciate you coming on, man.
Thanks, man.
Marite, tell us where we can
Perfect.
Tell us where we can find you.
You can find me at Marite Does It on social media, Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest, and then maritedoesit.com, my website for all things DIY, home content related, and gardening.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming on. Our
thank you.
Our very presidential guest.
I can get you in contact with somebody like that. Perfect. Mr.
Absolutely.
Tanner the Planter. I don't know if you've heard of him on TikTok, but he's pretty
I
big.
follow him on TikTok.
He does everything. And let me tell you, girl, they got that shipping stuff down. They ship poinsettias I saw the other day, and I was like, whoa, that's like a very fragile plant to ship. And they did
It's
it.
impressive.
Wow.
They did it.
Yeah, and if you're in Bryan, Texas, in the College Station area, make sure you go by and check out Pothead's Plant Shop. They don't sell pot, but they sell plants.
I will be there in January. I'm gonna have to stop by.
Yeah, I still haven't made a trip. I need to go up there too. Mr. Big Daddy Phil, what you got,
guys.
brother?
Hey, you can find me at Phil's Figs on Instagram, Facebook, and my website, philsfigs.com. And we are doing a cutting sale right now, so go on and check it out. Every order comes with a growing guide for rooting cuttings, and comes with my contact info too. So reach out with any questions.
All things figs. Miss Felicia, you got something, Vikram?
No.
Oh, sorry. I heard you go like this. Go ahead.
Just trying to live, just breathing so I can live. That's all.
You're photosynthesizing. Mrs. Felicia, go ahead.
You could find me. I like to try to do through TikTok, but TikTok hates me right now. But The Vital Root on TikTok. I also have a business page called The Vital Root on Instagram. I also have a Facebook page, and then I believe my regular Instagram handle it's Felicia _ The Vital Root.
I'll put everybody's.
That's a little difficult.
No, I'll put everybody's contact down below. All their information, your websites, all that good stuff.
Awesome.
Down below. And I am Destin Nut, Texas Garden Guy. We have the Texas Tomato Conference coming up January 13th at the Antique Rose Emporium. It's going to be a great time. It'll be me, Skip Richter, Greenish. I can't remember her full name, but a bunch of speakers. We're going to be talking tomatoes all day long. They have a couple spots left. I think it's $100 for the day, but you get breakfast and lunch and everything provided. So come check it out. Antique Rose Emporium is beautiful. And thank you all to all my guests for coming on. Hopefully we can get y'all back on at some point.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And if I don't see you before Christmas, Merry Christmas. And
Merry Christmas.
we'll see you on the next one. Appreciate it, guys.